Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to take a little look at and go shoot my Chinese Type 56 carbine. This one is a early production, known commonly as a letter series or letter gun, letter rifle. Reason for that is if you look on the serial number here, you'll see it starts off with a letter, this one K, and then has a series of 4 numbers after it. And if you look just after the serial number, it's faintly stamped right there. You'll see a triangle with a 26 in it. That's the marking for factory 26, triangle 26, factory that would have produced this gun. Based on that serial number, from what I've read, it's likely this gun was produced towards the end of 1959, probably the very end of 59, and would have been, I think, the second year of production of the letter series guns. Could be wrong. I think maybe, yeah, I think it was the second year, but it might stand corrected. What's interesting about this gun, everything on it is absolutely correct for one of these early letter guns. It's got the Soviet style blade bayonet. Everything is 100% correct, except for the stock. From what I've read, the stock, the sling swivel is supposed to be on the side, not underneath. So this is the Russian style of stock. So when I look at the stock, it is clean. I mean, it is like really clean. Makes me wonder if this is original to the gun. I kind of doubt that it is. I just think it's too nice. Unless this thing sat in a tub of Cosmoline or something in an armory and was never used, but I just have a hard time believing that this thing went from 59 all the way to probably the 80s or 90s when it was imported in the United States without getting any sort of use. I mean, these things saw a bunch of use in the Vietnam War, and sure, the Chinese didn't build these things to just have them sitting around. I mean, they were out using them, training with them and stuff early on. So I don't know, either this thing legitimately was not used, or I tend to think it was refurbished at some point. Now, I don't know for sure, but what's interesting too that makes me think that it's a refurb is if you look at the markings here for the serial number on the stock, which is correct, there would be a serial number here, but these stampings don't look like the ones I've seen in photographs. So you can see that there's like a roundness to them, almost as if the stamp itself was a round stamp with the numbers. And so you can see those little round edges kind of on the top right side there. So I haven't seen those on other pictures of Chinese guns. So my guess is this was refurbed at some point and it's just the stamps they had lying around. And so that's what it got. Maybe it was a new old stock, no pun intended, that they had in an armory somewhere and they threw it in an old Russian stock. And it ended up not having the side swivel like the Chinese Type 56 would come to commonly have. Another thing that makes me kind of curious, and I can't tell if you can see the color, but this has the slight purplish plum hue of Russian factory refurb you'll see on like Mosins and SVT 40s, stuff like that. You'll kind of get like a purple look in the bluing, and that makes me suspicious as well as to where that piece came from. If it's stock that they had left over from when the Russians were helping them stand up SKS production or what. So other than that, serial numbers are correct and all matching here on the stock. Flip it over here, you've got it on the bottom of the magazine and bottom of the trigger guard. You also have it on the top of the carrier right here behind the stripper clip guide, and then the bolt as well. So I mean, other than that, everything on here is correct and matching. The stock is just the thing that makes me suspicious. This one was imported by CSI, China Sports International. It's got the little import markings here, made in China, all that good stuff. Like I said, it's got the early blade bayonet, which I think is kind of cool. I like the earlier, having an earlier variant, just, you know, kind of cool. Like the OG Chinese Type 56 versus like one that was made in 1980 by Norinco. Not to say those aren't cool too, but I just like having older stuff. Kind of the history behind this, like I touched on, basically the Russians are putting into service the SKS and then shortly after they put the AK-47 into service, realized the AK-47 is just a better all-around weapon system for what they want to do. And so they've got a bunch of SKSs lying around. They've got all the data for them, all the tooling. Chinese are looking at this thing and like, that's freaking legit. That's what we want. We love that gun. So the Soviets kind of were buddies with the Chinese at that point in time in the early 1950s. So they send over the tooling and equipment and some advisors to help them put the production together and start making guns. And so you get the early, they call it the Sino-Soviet SKSs, and then they would transition into the Type 56 that is common with like the spike bayonet and the side sling swivel and all that stuff. But I'm not going to get too far into that. Overall, like I said, it's a pretty clean example, whether it was factory refurbed or not. I'm happy to be able to own it and shoot it. Also brought out a chest rig, Chinese standard chest rig. I got some strippers, 10-round strippers preloaded in this. When we take it out, I don't have to waste time loading them. Here's just an example of your copper wash Chinese 7.62x39. And then since this weapon was used extensively in the Vietnam War by both the North Vietnamese Army and the Viet Cong, decided to bring out my NVA belt. Kind of a cool little piece. Is just a nod to that time in history and the fact that this gun was used a lot by the Vietnamese. My understanding is it functioned pretty well in that environment, damp, muddy, horrible jungle, but it was able to function and did what it did. So dark period of history, but can't forget it, and we want to maintain and remember the lessons learned. So we'll take this piece of history out and get it dirty, run it through its paces, have a little fun. All right, so last time I was out here with my Turk Mauser, I think I got these ranges mixed up. The first red plate is going to be 100, and the second red plate is 200. I actually brought my rangefinder out here today to confirm those distances. Going for the 100. All right, we're down here at bayonet distance, probably 25, 30 yards from target. So clear. Pretty cool. Bayonet's on the gun already. Just swings out and into position. So not really much to talk about. Sometimes you get a smooth one, sometimes not so much. Little malfunction there at the end. Other than that, not bad. 30 rounds, nice and smooth other than the very end there. So yeah, pretty cool. It is nice having the bayonet on the gun already because you can't lose it, right? But unfortunately, you can't really use it much as a knife. And I'm sure there were probably guys that got the wild idea to pry, you know, or use it to dig with or whatever, and end up messing it up, bending it, getting stuff jammed up in the muzzle. I'm sure all kinds of wild stuff has occurred over the years, but pretty cool, pretty fun. Gotta love it. Going for the 200. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my phone up, probably not the best idea, on a tripod, back away from where any spall or frag could come off of this target, and I'm going to go back to the 200 and shoot at this target, maybe pick up some sounds of the rounds coming in, impact on target, because when we're down there, you can't really hear that anyways, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting to see how it turns out. So well, that'll wrap it up for today. thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed and had fun watching me run this thing through its paces, get it all dirty and stuff. Now I gotta go home and clean it. But yeah, love these guns, love SKSs. Like I said, when I shot my Russian production one, same thing goes with this one. I freaking hate the trigger. You might as well make the trigger out of like a sponge. It just, I hate the reset. I hate the way that the pull, everything about it, the brake. I just don't like triggers on these, but I can make them work for what they are, for the time period in history they are. It's fine. I'm not going to dog on it too hard. Again, I shoot these guns because I like the history. I like the different designs, the functions, stuff like that. It's just pleasurable and fun to come out and do it and enjoy the shooting sport and enjoy being able to get your hands on pieces of history and bring them out to the range and run them through their paces. Again, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.